Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
Well, Jonathan, I'm afraid you'll be staying a little while longer.
This is episode 233, recorded January 15th, 2025.
Yeehaw. Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Writen, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host and I will tackle another classic, or not so classic, film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week are my co-hosts, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm great. I'm awesome.
And
I
you're
don't
West
know about
Coast.
that. I don't know.
And you're all West Coast. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and all-around nice guy and published author.
Wait a minute, I got it right here. Why, yes, I am. Rom. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Also joining us tonight is Chad Hunt, comic book artist, co-host of Decades of Horror, the Classic Era, and the 80s, and a filmmaker himself, and a really cool dude. How you doing, Chad?
Sailing on the Black Moon.
This is not Black Moon. It's Black Noon.
Black Moon to me.
No.
Or
Black
whatever.
Moon. Black Moon was a different movie, and I started watching it. I went, this does not seem right.
Oh, no.
Wasn't the character named Black Moon or just Moon?
Moon.
Yeah, his
Okay.
name was Moon. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a black moon.
Oh, was there?
It was a eclipse, so that.
There you go. If you guys are wondering, we are doing a made-for-TV horror movie this week, Black Noon, which aired in 1971. But before we get all to that and sharing our thoughts and reviews and talking about the film, Jeff has a little to say about Play Now Media.
Yes, we are partnering with Play Now Media. And in fact, you can watch Decades of Horror, the 1970s, on their Wicked Horror TV channel. They have about 25 different streaming channels, and we're actually on more of those. If you see anything that's like free horror, free classic science fiction, free whatever, we're probably on there. But anyway, very specifically, we're on Wicked Horror TV for the 70s. Now, they have created some promo codes for our Grue believers, and for you get 20% off your first payment. So if you sign up for the monthly fan, which is $6.99 a month, you will get $1.40 off that first month. But if you sign up for the annual plan, which is $49.99, 20% off that, it would be $10. So you'd only be $40 for a year subscription. The promo code is DOH70, DOH all caps 70. And you must be a first-time subscriber, and you must sign up on the website. And you can find the links to those channels on the blogs for our episodes at gruesomemagazine.com.
Excellent.
So there
you go. All right. Well, let's get into our topic of Black Noon 1971. Let's jump on the card and see what it has for us. Boom. Oh, it's a railer. Black Noon.
you can't have a Western without a rail.
I guess not. That's not.
That or quicksand, and there wasn't any quicksand. So.
Oh my gosh. Directed by Bernard L. Kowalski, written and produced by Andrew J. Fenady, either way you want to go. Production company is Andrew J. Fenady. Productions, Street Chips Television. Filming locations.
Did that on purpose.
Locations. I don't think it was in
that
New York
got
City.
changed. I put that in the wrong slot.
Yeah,
I do
filming
that
locations.
To keep you on your toes, Doc.
Yep, desert north of Los Angeles. Real release date was November 5th, 1971. The CBS Friday night movie. It's also known as Fatal Noon in Spanish, and it's Melodia Fatal, or something close to that. The synopsis is: traveling minister Reverend John Keyes and his wife Lorna are quietly menaced by a devil cult in the Old West. By the time the good Reverend figures out what's really going on, it may be too late to stop the evil. Maybe.
The end.
All right.
Oh, there's no maybe about it. This is the 70s. Don't expect a happy ending, folks.
Oh my gosh, that's true. It's early 70s, so I guess it would be a little bit of a surprise. So this was a television movie of the week, and what we've been reviewing Kolchak the Night Stalker week by week on our special Patreon episodes. And one of the cool things we've done is kind of look at what was on TV. Of course, back in the 70s, there was 3 channels in the States, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Of course, there was like, UHF as well, or VHF, I forget which one's which. But either way, let's take a look at what was going on here. So it started at 9:30 on a Friday night. And what strange things it was going up against. The Odd Couple, Love American Style, Howling in the Woods. Interesting.
Sounds like another horror movie.
It is kind of, and it actually looks kind of interesting.
Yep. The Partridge Family, Room 222. Lots of interesting stuff. I have no clue what I watched that night. I doubt if I watched anything.
I'm going to bet that it wasn't O'Hara U.S. Treasury.
Yeah. Probably not.
That was what's his name? Richard, the guy on The Fugitive, Jansen. David Jansen. I'm sorry, David Jansen.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I don't want to know
who the teddy bears were.
I don't want to know what Operation Spread is either.
Operation Spread. All right, let's find out what we thought about this film. Jeff, I believe this was your pick. Is that right?
No.
Whose pick was it?
Mistaken. Me.
Oh wow,
Right.
this would have been like a perfect Jeff pick. Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
Bill.
It would have been. And when I saw the cast, I was like, oh, Jeff's going to be like, yes. No, this is mine because I saw it in 1971. I also did not watch O'Hara U.S. Treasury. Watching him, stamp papers or do whatever it was. I looked like a horror movie. Had Yvette Mimieux or however you pronounce her name. It was like, I'm totally there. And it's been probably since 1971 that I've seen it. But it left an impression on me, which I figured was a good sign, because that's 1971 was, let's do the math. Oh my God, I want to die. It was a long time ago. And yet this is another one of those. As I was watching it, I didn't remember everything, but as I'm watching, I'm getting pulled in. It's like, oh, right, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And so I don't know, maybe 11 years old is a time when you're really impressionable and things worm their way into your head, or maybe this movie did what it needed to do. So I was very happy to see again. Of course, it's being colored through nostalgia, but I enjoyed it. I like the twist. Okay, the shock, the literal last shot of the movie is stupid, but I didn't pick up on it. So okay, that's fine. But the I guess we're going to be pretty spoilery, aren't we? You almost have to be. Yeah, we got. Okay, it's over 50 years old. Jeez, go see it, or go watch it, then come back and listen to this podcast. So you knew this guy was
on YouTube,
in trouble.
by the way.
Oh yeah, yes, and actually not a bad print on YouTube. You knew this guy was in trouble, but I thought the filmmakers did a pretty good job of manipulating us into believing that the mute girl was bad news, but that not everybody in town was in on it. But as it turns out, and this is the second movie in a row we just did Dead and Buried, but the second time in a row, everyone except this guy is in on it. You have wandered into the wrong town. And I consider this movie to be part of a very flourishing genre of TV movies back then that are basically called, you should have listened to your wife. There's it's always, there's a whole bunch of these movies we could watch where there's a woman and she knows something bad is going on and everyone else is telling her she's nuts, to the point where they're just about ready to put her in a rubber room. But in the end, she was right. There really was a woman buried in the backyard, or the neighbor's a werewolf, or in this case, the whole town is a devil cult that is leading this guy to doom. But it's fun watching him get led step by step. And then finally the punchline. And when I was an 11-year-old kid, this really took me by surprise. When he's given his sermon and they start laughing, and they're laughing and laughing and laughing. In fact, they're laughing a little too much, really. It's kind of a laugh track. But I'm like, oh man, this is bad. And then the revelation of what the bloody man was trying to do, it all came together. And then it was over. I'm like, dang, this is really the 70s, man. This is a downer of an ending.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, and I'm interested to see what the rest of you think of just watching this movie. I'm going to guess for the first time, because for me it was only the second time, but I feel like I've watched it a lot in my head since seeing it 50 years ago.
That's cool. All right, Chad Hunt, sir. When did you first see this? What did you think of it, and does it hold up today?
I, on the other hand, watched it for the first time the other day, and boy, I have a different opinion.
There you go.
Of course, I'm watching it with, my old eyes that have seen all and watched everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And this being a TV movie and everything. Now, I like I can never pronounce his last name. Roy Thinnis. Roy Dines. Thinnis. Because I was a big fan of the Invaders TV show back then, and he did a good job. It's just that I figured out very early on what was happening, and I don't try to do that with a lot of movies. I try to go along with whatever the story is, but man, I just knew that was going to happen at the end, and I just had a feeling it was. I found myself really laughing at some parts of the old guy that was getting dragged by Moon, going, "Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, or thank you, Moon. Thank you." It seemed, I think I told you guys earlier, it seemed like something right out of Blazing Saddles, and I don't know. I felt like I was watching an episode of Twilight Zone or something like that. I was just waiting for the twist at the end because it went too long. It went too long to reveal it. So I said something's going to happen at the end that's going to turn it around. So, and that's how it was. It was shot with a TV movie budget, you could tell. And it's just, maybe if I had watched it when I was a kid or something, I'd have a different opinion of it. But boy, this was just a stinker to me.
Stinker, he says.
Stinking up the joint. Yeah.
Wow, we are on opposite sides of the fence, but this one so far.
Well, let's see who the tiebreaker here.
Jeff, when did you first see this? What was your first impression of it, and does it hold up today?
Well, just to be clear, apparently I've been saying his name wrong my entire life because the pronunciation guides online say Thins, as in a plural of thin. Thins. So Roy Thins. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm on the Bill side. It seemed like kind of blah when I watched it the first time. I didn't dislike it. I kind of liked it. I love the actors in it. I absolutely love the actors in it and some of the things they were trying to do, whether they worked or not. But the second time around, where I was trying to find quotes, and there's little or no information about this online. There's no trivia or details in Wikipedia or anywhere other than shot north of LA in the desert. I started picking up things that I'm assuming they were trying to do things that I saw, and I thought it was kind of cool, actually, that the script was a lot more detailed than I thought, and some of the cinematography had some reasoning behind it. So I enjoyed it. There's some things they tried to kind of creep me out, like the little kids with the masks on. That always creeps me out. And the thing where you said where they were laughing, and the guy we talked about, the Joseph, I love him. His name is Hank Warden, and we'll talk about him in a little bit later on. But Gloria Graham is one of my favorites. You all know I'm a film noir, and she was like queen of the film noir in the 50s and late 40s. So anyway, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a little slow paced for modern tastes, I think, but really everything is a progression. It progresses slowly through there, and it all has it's all correct, I guess, you know. And when they came to the part where they were like going for the eclipse, all of a sudden I was like, oh, Black Noon. Now I get it. So, you know, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I did know, you know, this town was not kosher. I mean, these guys sitting in the desert with the little caps on that you normally see in New England sailing, fishing villages. Yeah. What was there, like a steering wheel, or I don't know what they call those, the rudder control and decorations on the side of the building, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I liked it. I liked it. I think it's probably middle of the pack for 70s horror movies, but it had some good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's actually fairly interesting. I'm in Chad's camp. This
split decision here.
It was a little sluggish for me. I didn't really get invested in the story. It didn't draw me in. I'm probably the only one here that might have some problems with the acting in this, because it seems like you guys are fans of these people. I thought it was a mess. But at the same time, given that it's 1971 and this is, you know, like a Friday night horror movie on TV, there's interesting things happening. I'll give it that. I mean, there are, you know, and I do like some of the major people of the cast, you know, Ray Milland. It's always, he is what he is, right? He might be cashing a paycheck, but he's bringing it all here. Henry Silva, I thought was fantastic as a Man in Black kind of character, and his silly ass grins. And you were talking about the camera work when there was like some really funny lens stuff when he was like grinning and laughing at him, and then when the other guy who was like trying to warn him about everything and running after him. All that weird stuff about the gate and everything. I was like, what's going on? What is happening here? But I don't know. I'm a fan of those 70s endings. So that I thought that was pretty bold, especially for a TV movie.
Yeah.
At 1971. A couple more years later, it would be, you know, kind of old hat, but in 71, I think it's rather fresh. Anywho, so I'm in Chad's camp, and we'll just leave it there. But there's plenty to talk. Yep, there's plenty to talk about, though.
But you know what you said. I mean, think about this. This is 1971. If you ask most people today who weren't around then, what do you think the movies were like in 1971? And they'd be like, "Oh, namby-pamby, blah blah blah." This is a movie where a church-going guy comes into town preaching the word of the Lord, and in the end, he is strung upside down and burned to death. Dead
in the church.
In a church. Like, okay, and they and the bad guys, did they at least have a bolt of lightning come and hit them or something? Nope, they got away with it.
They're going
to do it again. They've been doing it ever since, and they're going to do it again. It's like, yeah, they weren't afraid to send you to bed, because this ended at 11 o'clock, and that was bedtime when I was 11 years old. I had to probably beg to do the dishes for a week to stay up late enough to watch this thing. And I had to go to bed knowing, you know, a bunch of preacher burning witches are still alive.
I wonder if they gave some kind of warning before this, because it was kind of a bold movie for a Friday night.
Did they give warnings?
I doubt it. I don't think they were.
We were tougher back then. We played hoses.
Well, it started later. Yeah. Usually those Friday night movies started at 9 and went to 11. This one started at 9:30, I believe.
Yep.
So
people weren't as concerned. Listen, when I was at that age, there used to be every couple hours on TV, an ad would come on and say, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
Yes.
So parents back then had to be reminded that their kids, it was dark outside, and maybe they should find out where they were.
What's the difference between that and the sign on the door at Kmart that says, "Please check your cart before you leave if you left your child in the shopping cart."
See, we were raised feral, but kids today are raised like
yeah.
And
But it's like once it's dark out, then we were supposed to come in when it got dark.
Yeah.
And when I got old enough, they didn't pay attention.
And if we never came back, that's natural selection, and it's harsh but fair.
Where are you going? Outside.
There was literally times I came home covered in blood, and my mom and dad didn't ask anything as long as I was at home.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't supposed to be in the house in the afternoon.
I do have to say, this movie's only 75 minutes long, and you guys couldn't pay attention for 75 minutes.
Wow.
That's
I didn't say I didn't pay attention.
I could pay attention.
I just kind of. It was a chore because it just didn't draw me in. I mean, that's a big point of it, right?
It's kind of flat. It's kind of flat.
I knew going into this that my nostalgia was going to carry me through it, but that doesn't carry for people who didn't see it way back when. That's why I said that. Maybe if I saw it as a kid, I'd have that same nostalgia for it.
Yeah,
right.
But I just looking at it through my eyes now, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, and I didn't like the lead character, so it was hard to.
Well, he's flawed. He is flawed.
No,
that's why.
Not only that, don't leave your day job to be a minister because you are really bad.
Oh, he was awful. Okay, so the one weak thing, and I've noticed this a lot with movies where they have a premise that our lead actor is a fill in the blank, but apparently they never talk to people who actually do that, so that it's convincing. Like if he's a ventriloquist, he's the worst ventriloquist ever, and the routine sucks, but all the audience in the movie loves it. In this one, his first preaching, his sermon is terrible. If I went on Chat GPT right now and just said, write me a generic sermon, it would be like that, except it would be better. It was awful.
Delivery. I mean,
the delivery was
how he delivered it. Yeah.
There's nothing there and all. So that is a weakness because it would be more convincing. But I like the fact that he does have a weakness, and his big weakness. Well, maybe this fits in. His weakness is pride. He just loves the fact that as long as he's in this town, good things start happening. And sure, he's like, oh, it wasn't me who healed the crippled boy. It was God. It wasn't me who made the well start putting out gold. It was God. But secretly he's thinking, no, God's working through me. I mean, proof's in the pudding. Your town sucked. I showed up, and everything's going well. Why should we waste this good thing? So that was his sin.
But that's
his wife tried to warn him
over and over and over.
He did not, and that's
so. To me, that's part of some of the stuff that was in the script. Like he does say to his wife, he treats me like a son, or he's like a father to me, or something like that about Ray Milland.
Yep.
But then if you catch, that was when I was paying attention, and he frequently says things like son or boy to him, and then calls him Jonathan in that quote. At no other time in the movie does anybody call him Jonathan. It's weird. So yeah, I think that is what he was doing. And if you also see when something inexplainable happens, like his wife is yelling about, they find her outside at night, and she's telling them what they saw. Not a single one of those people is asking a question. None of them are going, really? How many were there? What did they look like? Nobody, they don't say anything. And then Ray Milland's character is the only one who says anything. And he does one of those, oh, sunstroke from when you were lost in the desert. Oh, it's a dream. You're just having dreams. Oh, your mind's playing tricks.
It's the rickets. Yeah.
Oh, you're a woman. You know how women are.
Yes.
No. Speaking of that, I thought Lynn Loring as his wife did a really interesting job as her character.
Yeah, she did.
Laid up in bed for most of it, but toward the end, I mean, she's doing like early Exorcist, a couple years before Exorcist. The way she, her faces and stuff. It was. I thought that was probably the creepiest thing for me was what was happening to her.
Yeah, and that was smart too, because the more unattractive she became, the more attractive Yvette becomes, and so we're kind of being subtly encouraged to, as everybody else does, dismiss her.
All right.
Although
Yeah.
even as a kid, I knew that, usually the person in a movie who says that there's something really bad going on is almost always proven to be right. So
Sure, this is yeah. This got me too, and the voice too, right?
look at that. That's like some,
It even looks like she's got some kind of makeup on there.
Oh,
she looks like she's going to start levitating.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, is she supposed to be on the verge of being possessed? What's going on here? I thought it was really interesting.
She was definitely, playing up the, and we do know you guys
Guy, don't scare me like that.
caught that relationship, right?
Oh yeah, that they were married in real life.
Yeah.
In real life, yeah. IRL, as the kids say.
Might have been a vanity project to a certain extent. Although Fenady, he wrote some stuff. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Bill's got some good stuff.
I got some.
Well, let's dive into our director here, who has done some interesting things.
Yeah,
and these are just like the genre stuff. There's some non-genre stuff that's interesting too. But
shocked the hell out of me when I looked him up, and it's like, another TV movie guy just hacking it out. It's like, I love 2 of these 3 movies.
Yep, I was surprised to see on there.
Me too.
Which is one that we've been
me
after
too.
doing because it's kind of hard to find,
great.
so we haven't been able to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the other 2. I kind of laughed when I saw Night of the Blood Beast was on there, and then Attack of the Giant Leeches. I don't know if I like either of those movies.
I like Attack of the Giant Leeches.
Do you?
It's super low budget, and the leeches look like garbage bags because they're garbage bags. But it's fun and really well done.
They look like garbage bags because they're garbage bags.
Night of the Blood Beast is like an early Roger Corman movie, and it's pretty terrible. He produced it. There was a whole scandal about the guy who wrote it sued because I guess he thought it was going to end up being a big budget production because he didn't know who the Cormans were. But Roger and his brother made this movie, and it's makes Attack of the Giant Leeches look positively highbrow. But this guy's a good director. He's fun. Yeah, I like these. He's entertaining. He knows how to tell a story. I forgot how many other things was he involved with. These were just the genre ones that caught my eye. But...
Well, and we just talked about this, and somebody help me remember why. Oh, that's why. Irvin Kershner, who directed Eyes of Laura Mars, directed 35 episodes of The Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Big Dum Dum Irvin.
Rebel. Bernard Kowalski directed 25 episodes of it.
Oh, wow.
So between them, 60 out of, I think, a total of about 75 episodes or so. And that was created by Nick Adams and Andrew Fenady.
See where there's
the Nick Adams?
Yeah.
The Nick Adams. The Nick Adams that was in Die Monster Die. Yeah, he played the rebel.
Frankenstein Conquers the World. Yeah.
He also did a TV movie, Terror in the Sky, which was kind of like one of those airport ripoffs. And they did a number of those in the early 70s.
Yeah, I would think being attached to, I mean, The Rebel was not a huge, big budget thing or other, but they're 1 hour episodes. I mean, less with ads. You have to tell a story in that time. You got to produce it pretty quickly. You got a week to make these shows. I think you probably learned to be a pretty efficient director doing that.
The Rebel was 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Boy, that's amazing to me.
He's got to wander into town, meet somebody, encounter a conflict, and solve it in
all 30. Yeah. It's pretty quick. So this movie, he probably felt like, oh man, I'm taking my time here.
Yeah. I mean, there's some flourishes in it. There's some stuff in here that kind of elevated above, a usual made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
I know we've been dying to see, but I'm so afraid to watch it if it ever becomes available that I'll hate it now. It's
not a great movie, but yeah.
It's an awesome movie. What are you saying?
It's awesome.
It holds up. It holds up.
But first of all, just the premise, which is that this guy who's a herpetologist is trying to turn people into snakes because atomic war.
And
sure,
and
Sure.
Strother Martin, who's the snake expert, was deathly afraid of snakes, but they got him to do some scenes where he's like grabbing snakes in this pen in his hands.
But he was born to play that role.
Oh,
he
my
was.
God.
He was.
Sweaty scientist, yes.
Yep.
And of course, the future Captain America.
I got hammered. You know what? I posted a review about when the Blu-ray came out for horrornews.net, and I thought it was Jerry Chandler, maybe.
Probably.
Somebody made a comment to it that was basically like, "Oh yeah, right. Snakes would be better."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, because I gave it a pretty good review, and they're sort of like, this is a really stupid concept.
It is a stupid concept, but so are many. Listen, also, just want to say before we keep talking about this movie, the ending of makes the ending of Black Noon look like bed knobs and broomsticks. I mean, you cannot have a more downer of an ending. I'll leave it at that.
Was Red Brown in that? I thought it was Dirk
Yes.
Bennett, Doc.
Yeah,
No, Dirk Benedict is a star.
Benedict
Red
was
Brown is
the
one of the
lead
victims.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red Brown was the athletic guy.
Now you really want to watch it, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm getting Dirk Benedict and
And
Red Brown.
And I'll say it
Take my
again.
money.
The woman that the love interest for Dirk Benedict, her name was Menzies. Was she Strother Martin's
Heather
daughter?
Menzies.
Heather
Menzies. She was in
Welcome Back,
Well,
Kotter.
she married Robert Ulrich, but she was in The Sound of Music. She was one of the.
Because I haven't seen that since it came on TV, and I'm dying to watch it again at some point. I just don't understand why it never.
Warner Brothers has it under lock and key because so they can say we own it. You can't have it. I shouldn't have said that. That probably
a lot of good
helpful.
that does. There's a knock on the door. It's Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So to circle this back around, I was surprised to see these three movies in his.
So was I.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were talking
filmography. I'm trying to get that word out of your brain there, Doc. All right. So our producer and our writer. There's one I'm going to pick someday. Arnold. Oh, I love that movie. It's dumb. It's so dumb. I love it.
Is that Grandpa from the Munsters there?
No.
Remember who that is?
No.
Looks
He was a producer and a writer, about 50-50 there.
So
I love TV shows that say in color, like, okay, so I know when you made this show because everything's in color now. You don't have to brag about it, but
he was the and on the few posters they have, I mean, you got this up, right? He wrote a book that the John Wayne movie Chisholm was based on.
And that book there, I guess, because it's by the same writer, I'm assuming that's a adaptation of this movie. I haven't found it, but that was the impression I got. That doesn't actually look like a scene from the movie, but okay. I mean,
no, it's got the church. It's got the man in black.
Oh, the cover of the book.
But the guy in black is the good guy, and the cowboy should be, Black Bart.
Yeah, the guy in black's carrying the Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, they got it reversed. Oh,
yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, you're looking at it closer than I am. Anything else we want to say about the author?
The church is on fire.
Looks like Jeff, you've probably watched more of his shows than we have.
No, that's just it. And Hondo, that's the TV series. That's not the movie. But yeah.
Okay.
Series developer, story writer, blah blah blah.
Jack of all trades.
And that's your. Oh, is that like that's supposed to be like Johnny Reb, right? Johnny Rebel. Yeah, he's Confederate.
Yeah, yes, Johnny. The Johnny Yuma was a rebel. He roamed through the West. You'll never recognize it from that.
So he was like an ex-Confederate after the war.
Yes, he was. And,
wandering around.
I'm filing that under stuff we didn't need to hear.
All right. Probably the biggest name in here is Ray Milland. Most people would know, and he's a supporting character, but a very crucial one.
And of course, they mostly know him from The Thing with Two Heads, his immortal performance.
You might be right. Oh my gosh!
No, what was his great movie? The Lost Weekend.
Yes, I was going to say that might be his most horrifying movie.
Yeah,
that he won the Oscar for, I think. Yeah,
he was great.
Oh, he's pretty good in frogs.
I mean, he is good in frogs. He is good for. But the Uninvited is a really interesting horror.
Yeah.
I think we did that one. That's the one where he and Peter Cushing are telling stories about cats. Am I? Oh no, that's the Uncanny. Uninvited. Never mind. Ignore me.
X, of course, you got up here.
We did the Uninvited, right, Chad?
We did.
Yeah.
And they had a cat in it too. Didn't it?
Yeah.
So does this movie.
Creepy little movie.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Panic in the Year Zero because I love apocalypse movies. And one of the most realistic ones. No giant mutants, nothing. It's basically Walking Dead without any Walking Dead. There's a war. The world is not destroyed, no such luck, but society collapses, and this man and his family are trying to make it to safety. And it's good. It's genuinely scarier than most movies of its type, and very realistic. Good stuff.
Oh, Dial M for Murder too. Well, you might have already said that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So I mean, he's a guy. He was a big name star. He got old, as the lucky ones do, and he phased into doing character acting, and he wasn't ashamed to cash a paycheck to make a movie about frogs and things with two heads, which I guess was probably a low point. But if you watch that movie, he's playing it pretty straight.
Yeah,
he's not laughing at us.
We were laughing.
We were laughing.
That's one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life.
There is a kind of something special about it, though.
Yeah,
it is a damn silly movie.
Well, I think the fact that he is not, he's not winking at us, he's playing it straight, is what makes us able to have fun with it. Because it's such a stupid premise that if the actors were basically saying this is stupid, we'd just be like, this is stupid. But
also known as the Incredible Two-Headed Transplant. Is that what that other title was?
No, that's a different.
That's a different movie.
Is that a different movie?
Yes, they thought this idea was so great they did it twice.
Yeah. Oh, they might have done it more than that. What do we think of him in that? Oh, go ahead.
No, he's great, and the Man with X-Ray Eyes is it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Creepazoid one too. That's got a
why that one's never been remade. I don't know.
That's the one down in the bottom left corner, right?
Yeah. Interesting film. What do you think of him in this movie? How did he do? Because to me, his voice was as prominent as anything else. He just has that distinct cadence.
I liked him in this. He brought sort of a fatherly thing to it, where you trusted him a little bit. They tried to make you think he wasn't involved in everything going on because he was so nice to the preacher guy, but he did. So he did a good job. I don't recall seeing him in anything where he did not just phone it in.
Where he didn't.
Where he did not phone it in.
Yeah, there you go.
Did I say that right?
I don't know. I still think it's backwards. But all right. So the star of the movie is Roy Thins. Is that what we decided?
Thins.
And
he had a box of Wheat Thins.
Yeah, and you guys, I don't know if I watched The Invaders that much, but you guys seem to are big fans of it and watched it.
I watched it as a kid when I could, when it in reruns, when it.
I had a model of the spaceship.
Did you? Oh wow!
Yeah. It was pretty.
I remember being shocked. Like one of the first times a TV show shocked me was when, after watching like the first season or so of The Invaders, they actually had an episode where the whole premise of this is he is the only guy who knows that there are invaders. Because they disappear when you kill them. So there's never any evidence. And everyone thinks he's a nut. And then they had an episode where like there are witnesses and he actually, he's not the only person who knows about the invaders. And I was like, whoa, this is changing the whole premise of the show. I think they kind of did that because the ratings were going bad. And they knew they had to shake things up. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Because, that back then, and we've talked about this a lot with Kolchak, once they had a formula, they never deviated from it. They just wrote it until it got canceled. That would have been way better if maybe they had decided to shake things up a little. But that was a fun show. Now, wasn't that made by Larry Cohen? Am I wrong about that? I know Brandon was as well. I may be wrong about that.
No,
Satan's
Larry
School for
Cohen.
Girls, another one. Yeah, okay.
Larry Cohen created it. Yes.
Cool.
I saw
I never
Satan's
knew
School
that.
for Girls. I don't remember anything except the ending.
Hmm.
I watched it. I watched them all.
And then
I watched them all.
Yeah, Northern Tapes is one that we probably need to put on our list to do at some point.
Yeah, Kent Smith was in that too, and he was the guy in Cat People.
Yeah.
Journey to the Far
Have you
Side
guys
of the
ever
Bum.
seen? Yeah, it is what it looks like. Have you seen Journey to the Far Side of the Sun?
No,
It's
I
it's
thought
it's
I
got
had,
a
but I'm
premise
not sure.
almost as good as. So they take a rocket ship and they go to far side of the sun. Spoiler alert. Turns out there's another planet Earth, just like ours, except like I don't know, when you flush the toilet, the water goes the other way. I don't know. Things are backwards there, and it's kind of a cool, dopey premise. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think both Finnes and his wife were in that one as well. I think they acted together in that. Maybe that's where they met.
I want to say that I remember the Norless tapes. But I don't recall him being in it. Yeah.
Somebody, I think maybe Jerry. Somebody is always, and maybe Mikey Z.
Jerry has recommended this. I always had the feeling the Norless tapes was like a pilot that didn't get picked up.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like Kolchak was, and some others. Yeah, he was also in Airport 75. You guys know how I love my airport movies. The Hindenburg. There's another disaster movie based on history. He was on an episode or two of Battlestar Galactica, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a likable actor. I mean, he's okay in this. I don't think his character is. They could have done more with it, but I think he did what was asked. Yeah,
I didn't feel that he was into it. It just didn't feel like a very sincere performance. It felt like, he was. I didn't really buy him in this movie.
I feel like they could have fleshed his background out more and made it more interesting. Like it would have been. You guys keep mentioning. I hadn't really thought about, but how Milland was like a father figure to him.
Mm-hmm.
If I were writing this script, maybe I would put something in there about his memories of his own father or difficult. Maybe there's some reason why this man is able to ensnare him so easily. That's his weakness, that he's seeking the love of his father. Maybe his father never wanted him to be a preacher. He wanted him to be a streetcar conductor or something, and he whatever.
He did 12 episodes of the Dark Shadows reboot in 1990
with Ben Cross.
Yeah, interesting.
Is that the one with Ben Cross?
I think so. I don't.
Is that the one they canceled Angel for? That they were going to do another season of Angel, but they were like, "Oh no, we've already got this this Dark Shadows thing that's going to do great, so let's get rid of Angel." I'm still bitter.
He played Reverend Trask and Roger Collins, so he played like
a Reverend
historic character and the modern character, because they always had flashbacks and stuff. He probably was on every episode. I don't know if there was more than 12 episodes.
Yeah, I don't think there were too many.
Oh man!
I think he was in an X-Files episode too at some point.
That sounds.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yes, he played Jeremiah Smith. 3 episodes. He played a recurring character. For a short period, anyway. Henry Silva is the next one we're going to take a look. Now this this guy just has a very distinct look. Oh my gosh.
Oh sure. The Man in Black. I loved him in this. At the same time, I had to say, he is too damn clean. I mean, look at this. He's supposed to be the bad guy. He looks like.
I mean, for heaven's sake, he's wearing black. It should show dirt.
Listen. I want Yvette to look like she just hopped out of the shower, but he looks so scrubbed. Like no dust has ever touched him. He is just the cleanest looking
he's the
guy.
devil's
I don't know where he
henchman.
went wrong.
Yep. Well, given the twist ending, it kind of makes sense, right?
That may be
because he's just playing a part.
Yeah.
With this group of people. So.
Yeah, he was the old fatherly figure the last time they did this.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean, boy, they really took the bad guy who wears black. Well, he's got a black hat, a black horse, a black shirt, black pants.
Yep.
That's a good shot on the bottom too, literally.
Oh
and that was
yeah.
a little shocking. That was a little shocking because you expect, our hero is going to take this guy in a gunfight. How's he going to get out of this? Because this guy looks like he's pretty quick on the draw. Shoots him in the back. I'm like, well,
Shoots him in the back.
I guess. I mean, he did save the lady and everything, and there's no law that says you got to be nice to rapists, but shot him in the back. That's not very heroic. I'm trying to remember what I was like as an 11-year-old watching this. It was really like, wow, that's an interesting choice here. I mean, this movie really captivated me more than obviously it's going to do for any grown-ass person watching it now. But as a kid, this thing, it really subverted expectations. Let's put it that way.
That was a cool shot too.
Yeah.
Camera shot.
Yeah. Kind of POV. Yeah.
I like how everyone is more shocked that he shot the guy in the back than they were shocked at the fact that this guy was going to grab this poor woman and go, take her to a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, that's bad, but dude, you shot him in the back. Oh, I don't know.
It's all part of the play.
Wow.
Right?
It's all part of it.
It is.
Let him up. I guess these are some of the movies that Mr. Silva was in.
Oh yeah, just so much good stuff there. I mean,
Hilarious and
winners,
alligator.
every one of them.
Yeah, because
Amazon women on the moon.
I would be hard pressed to even know that he was in any of these movies, but by golly, I recognize that face. I recognize him as soon as he showed up.
Yeah, he was the big game hunter they brought in to kill the alligator. And
that's right. Oh,
yeah, how'd that work out for him? Now, but my favorite role of all these is Amazon Women on the Moon. And Jerry Chandler right now is pointing at the screen saying, say it. He's in the sequence Bullshit or Not, where he speculates on whether or not the Loch Ness Monster was Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's playing who was the guy who was actually in Believe It or Not, or
Robert
Conrad. No.
Was it Robert Conrad?
Robert Stack?
Robert Stack. Yeah.
Robert, yeah. He does a great Robert Stack. He's terrific in it. He's really funny. And of course the Loch Ness Monster is played by the monster from the Loch Ness Horror.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And that's why Jerry Chandler will pawn this off on you at every opportunity.
Well, it's interesting because most of the people we do it at some point, they did at least a season of a television show, where they were maybe a pilot season, but he just alternated between movies and single episode guest stars all the way through, pretty much all the way through his career.
Huh. Now, am I remembering right? Or was he the guy that Frank Sinatra does the karate fight with in The Manchurian Candidate? Or am I totally off on that? Am I thinking of someone else entirely? I feel like
you might be right, too. Oh, I think so. Yeah. I just popped up the movie, and that's him getting in a fight at the first shot.
Oh, it's great too because back then everyone thought that karate meant you just basically punched with your knife hands. Yeah, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And if you ever actually got in a street fight and all you've been watching is movies and you tried that in the street fight, you got your butt whipped.
Well, according to William Shatner, it's a perfect way to fight.
William Shatner also thinks that the double axe handle is a good way to take out somebody. And I'll tell you right now, you'll break all your fingers if you try
the flying drop kick.
Well,
it's an indefensible attack. You can't.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't fight it. There's no defense.
The most foolproof tactic is to get the other guy to wear a red shirt.
Oh yeah.
Or you hire Ace Hunter from Megaforce.
That's
to do your fighting for you.
Come on.
Megaforce. What year did that come out?
That was 80s, I think. Early 80s.
We got to do that on. Did you? Oh, Cat.
Stop it.
Yeah, 82.
Did you guys say something? Oh, crap. The Cat has managed
He did a couple episodes of Outer Limits and Alfred Hitchcock.
Let's take a look at Yvette. How do you pronounce her last name? Mimieux?
Okay, there we go.
Jeez. I think it's Mimieux.
Mimieux?
Yeah, it's like a French cow.
She looks like a literal Barbie doll in that top picture.
Yeah. But she was in the Time Machine, of course, which is fantastic, and the Black Hole. We have to do the Black Hole sometime because that is a gloriously bad movie.
So
We've
is
had
Devil Dog
plenty
the
of
Hound of
people
Hell.
request it. Yeah.
I love the Black Hole. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time.
It does not hold up terribly well. But
I assume it would.
It is kind of really fun to watch, though, because it's so bad. Oh my god, was she in Snow Beast?
Snow Beast, the one we watched with Clint Walker and
Bo Svensson? Yeah, she was in that too.
oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. What do you think of her in this film, though? I mean, she basically starts off mute, right? She doesn't talk,
She doesn't have a lot of lines.
and then suddenly she
By design.
she says thank you, and then she has conversations.
She was there basically as a not really a red herring, but a distraction to keep you from noticing everything everybody else was doing.
Yeah, and kind of our lead into all the witchcraft stuff that was going on.
Yeah,
going into all the candles holding down, and
she gives that rattlesnake. She gives it the hooty doo stare there, and that rattlesnake just backs right off.
Yeah, that's good.
Wouldn't you if she gave you the hooty doo?
Yeah, probably.
She's pretty woman.
Yes, she is.
And she tempts our hero. Damn her. Another of the female stars is Gloria Graham, who is in a few horror films: Blood and Lace, The Nesting, Mansion of the Doom.
Okay. Quiz. And I didn't know the answer to this.
Go ahead.
Who directed Mansions of the Doomed? You can't look. Michael Pataki.
Oh,
What?
Yes.
What? Say what?
And that's a 70s one. We might have to find that one.
Might have to do that. Yeah.
It actually looks kind of good, or at least watchable. Yeah. Chris. Who else? Oh, Richard Basehart. So I'm going to do a little spiel here because she was like the first role that she was kind of noticed in is It's a Wonderful Life.
Wow.
She was I can't remember if she was not Georgie's, but the who was the kind of the loudmouth salesman type character. I think it was his girlfriend. Like, anyway. And then, wow, she just goes boom, boom, boom with these people. So she made Crossfire in 1947, directed by Edward Dmytryk, starring Robert Mitchum, Robert Ryan, Robert Young, which received 5 Academy Award nominations. Then she did one of the Thin Man movies, Song of the Thin Man, 1947. A Woman's Secret, 1949, directed by Nicholas Ray, and that starred Maureen O'Hara and Melvin Douglas. Then I think this is a Western Roughshod, 1949, but I'm mentioning it because it was directed by Mark Robeson, who came out of the Val Lewton factory there at RKO. Okay. Then in 1950, In a Lonely Place, again directed by Nicholas Ray, and that featured Humphrey Bogart, Frank Lovejoy, and Jeff Donnell, who was in the one Kolchak episode. You remember the woman? Anyway, and she and Jeff Donnell were really good girlfriends. Macau, 1952, that who knows? It was directed by von Sternberg, but also Mel Ferrar and finally Nicholas Ray, and that had Robert Mitchum, William Bendix, and Jane Russell. Sudden Fear in 52 with Joan Crawford and Jack Palance. The Bad and the Beautiful, which is what she won her Oscar award for, directed by Vincent Minnelli, featuring Kirk Douglas and Lana Turner. The Glass Wall, which had Douglas Spencer was actually the lead cop in that, Scotty. Man on a Tightrope, directed by Elia Kazan, starring Frederick March and Terry Moore. And then, like, the baddest of all the bad, I mean like nasty, The Big Heat, 1953, was directed by Fritz Lang, Starred Glenn Ford, Jocelyn Brando, Lee Marvin, and boy, it is one violent movie. I mean, the movie starts off with Glenn Ford's a cop, and somebody's trying to kill him and plants a bomb in his car, but his wife and his kid get killed in the bomb by mistake. And that's like to start off. Lee Marvin throws hot coffee across the face of Gloria Graham, and she gets scarred. And it just
oh no.
Human Desire, 1954, also directed by Fritz Lang, starring Glenn Ford, Broderick Crawford. The Cobweb, another Vincent Minnelli with Richard Widmark, Lauren Bacall, and Charles Boyer. Not as a Stranger, 1955, directed by Stanley Kramer, with Olivia de Havilland, Frank Sinatra, Robert Mitchum, Broderick Crawford, Charles Bickford, Lon Chaney Jr., and Lee Marvin. And it just goes on. Then in 1959, Odds Against Tomorrow, which is a racist thing directed by Robert Wise and starring Harry Belafonte, Robert Ryan, Shelley Winters, and Ed Begley. And then, of course, Mansion of the Doomed. Oh, Lance Henriksen is also in Mansion of the Doomed.
I'm surprised you skipped The Greatest Show on Earth, with directed by
Cecil
B. DeMille.
I'm going for film noir, so.
I gotcha.
And so Fritz Lang, Nicholas Ray, and Edward Dmytryk were killers in that genre. And
solid directors.
You want to see? I'm telling you, the Big Heat is
the Big Heat.
It's a hell of a movie. It is a hell of a movie.
Bill can use some Big Heat because he's frozen.
He is frozen.
I'm not frozen. God dang it. I'll be right back. Oh, God.
All right. So we don't really have a good picture of Lynn Loring, but we kind of showed these here.
But we're not done yet here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought we were moving on.
So she was nominated for an Oscar for Crossfire, and she won an Oscar for The Bad and the Beautiful. I'm sorry. And then she married Nicholas Ray, the director. And I'm going to read this because it kind of makes sense and it's fairly concise. 8 years after she divorced Nicholas Ray, who was 12 years her senior, and reportedly had discovered her in bed with his 13-year-old son.
Whoa!
And after a subsequent marriage to Cy Howard ended in divorce, in 1960, she married her former stepson, Anthony Ray, who was almost 14 years younger than she was. It was the longest of her marriages. It lasted for 14 years. And of course, there was a lot of scandal about that. They both, Nicholas Ray and Cy Howard, sued her to get custody of their kids. And she had a breakdown, etc. And in the end, in 1975, she was treated for breast cancer, and 5 years later, she was diagnosed with cancer again. She moved to England in 1978, and she was very busy. If you look at her credits, she does a lot of stuff right in that period. And then she collapsed during a rehearsal on the British stage, and this guy, at this point, she's living with a guy named Peter Turner, who they calls him her partner, but it also someplace else says good friend who let her live with him. He called her children, and they flew over to England to retrieve her. And then she died right after they got her back to the U.S. She was in 5 films that have been selected in the National Film Registry for the Library of Congress: It's a Wonderful Life, In a Lonely Place, The Bad and the Beautiful, The Big Heat, and Oklahoma. She was in Oklahoma.
Where the winds go sweeping down the plains?
Yeah, and apparently she can't sing a note. And they actually used her voice and took, I don't know how you could do it. As far as the soundtrack goes, they took different renditions of the number and spliced together the notes that were correct. Wow. I'm not kidding. That's awesome. What it actually said in there. Anyway.
Today they could auto-tune it.
There's a pretty good movie, kind of a biopic, that stars Annette Bening called Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool from 2017. And Annette Bening plays Gloria Graham. So anyway, she was killer, absolutely killer in the late 40s and 50s. And then kind of dropped off and started doing TV and did some kind of funky movies there in the 70s, but did some other stuff that was okay. So anyway, I'm done. I just think she deserves she deserves recognition.
Someone's got a crush.
Well, she's a flawed
For the child molestation or what?
She's a
Oh
flawed person.
my goodness. Let's go ahead and talk about Hank Ward.
Now here's a guy. There is no scandal on this guy.
Oh my God.
Look at him.
I love this guy.
He was an absolute treat in this show.
And there's a little documentary on YouTube called "Thank You Very Much" or "Thank You Kindly." That's it. Thank you kindly. It's like 45 minutes or something, and all these other people that he was in movies with. For one, he was kind of in that stock group of actors that worked on John Wayne movies. So the trivia here said he was in 17 John Wayne movies, but he says in that documentary that he did 14. So I don't know. If you scroll through his list, they start popping up in the 70s and go all the way back.
How many times did he play play an Undertaker? He's like an Undertaker every third furrow. No, I'm over exaggerating, but
true. Yeah. And so that bottom picture, you guys know where that bottom picture is from?
No.
Twin Peaks.
Oh, I should have known.
Man.
Milk gave it away. Yes.
Oh man.
He plays the waiter in the hotel, and I watched a clip of him, and that was when oh God, what's the FBI agents? Dale Cooper gets shot in his hotel room, and this guy is bringing him his nightly glass of water, and the phone rings. Oh, I think Cooper was on the phone, and somebody's yelling, Cooper, are you there, Cooper? What happened? What's going on? And that guy picks up the phone and hangs it up. And then Dale Cooper gasps out some question to him, and his response to him, in typical Twin Peaks, it makes no sense. He says something like, I hung up the phone for you. And Cooper goes, that was the other thing. The two of them would do that to each other every time they were in the scene together. Anyway, he's just one of those guys that nobody has anything bad to say about him.
No, of course not. And he was just like a comforting old shoe in every movie he was in. He played similar characters. I don't know they had a lot of range, but he was perfectly great at what he did in every cowboy movie needs. You need that comic relief or, that stock character. He was great. And he's in one of my favorites. He's in The Searchers, and anyone who's in The Searchers is okay by me.
He's in Searchers, Red River, The Alamo, 228 credits.
He was great in this. It was such a treat. Such a treat. All right. These are some of the the images labeled Hootie Doo. I don't know what that means.
Voodoo.
Okay. But the kids in their mask, which just made me laugh. And then what is that? Is that like a voodoo doll there that she's?
Yeah, she was. Yvette was making that voodoo doll, or Deliverance is her name.
Deliverance, yeah. And they
and those kids in those weird masks, like right out of I don't know how many different horror movies of the 70s. And one of those kids is Leif Erikson.
Leif Erikson.
No, it's not.
Leif Garrett.
Leif Garrett. Leif Erikson.
I only know two people.
Leif Erikson was like 70 years old when this.
Right.
Leif Garrett.
He later went to find North America.
These were built. These were billed as the four towheads.
Four towheads.
You could see them. You could see them in the church. They were sitting in the front row.
Four towheads. Didn't they open for Gladys Knight?
Yeah.
This was his fourth role.
So anyway, she makes that wax thing out of Lorna and keeps squeezing her head. It's like, and then Lorna's in bed going,
Yep.
And kills her.
Yep. Yeah.
That's right.
Because they didn't listen.
No. And oh yeah.
Oh,
I,
ending, folks.
I went wah wah wah.
Wah, wah.
It's like,
That's how
wah,
I
wah.
knew, because earlier in the film they said the name of the town, and I was
Mulligan.
watching with
Man.
captions on, and
Uh-huh.
I saw that word, and I just knew right away. I knew
Well,
how it was
No,
going
I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they said they were from a town in Connecticut, but then at the end, the big reveal was no, we were in a town from Massachusetts.
No,
we
no,
lied to
no.
you. Oh, you lied about that? Oh, we lied about a lot of things, but mostly we lied about that. Yeah.
That was a big wah, wah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we get that, like, suddenly we're in the, like 1971, and it's all happening again, right?
Yeah. Now, first of all, now as a kid, this was super impressive. As an adult, when I see a villain who just like reverses their name or something, I instantly lose all respect for them. And even more,
no more Alucard.
Alucard's a good example. Even more for the people who don't pick on it immediately. So if Count Alucard shows up in town and you don't drive a stake through his heart upon meeting him, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you're just inviting.
Hey, Doc.
Yes.
I'm going to show one more picture I pulled up.
Sure.
And it'll be short, I think.
There he is.
There's Hank Warden. The guy sitting on the horse is William Bryant, and he has a boatload of credits.
And what is this from?
35. He was in King Dinosaur, which for some reason has started coming up. He also was a regular in Hondo, which had
in color.
Fenady and Kowalski were both involved in that. And somewhere I saw he was in like 20 episodes of Emergency. He was a cap, like a
where's this
captain.
Where's this capture coming from? Is this from the movie or is this from another one?
That's from the movie.
Okay.
That's Hank Warden there. And he played not Caleb, but another name kind of like that.
Towhead's dad.
Papa Towhead.
Towheads.
I'm not on the right screen to see that. What did he do? 14 episodes of The Fall Guy as a director. Anyway, he's just one of those guys that's just been around for a long, long, long time. 19 episodes of Emergency as the captain of Engine 16 and Engine 68 and some other engine.
There you go.
The Bionic Woman, 2 episodes. So anyway, and I'm sure if I scroll back, but the number that he has, I'm not going to go through and pick out the genre stuff. It's just one of those guys I recognized right away.
And the one in the bottom left corner there is my Uncle Herbert.
That's Leif Erikson.
His character's name is Jacob. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. I'm done. I just think guys like that need some recognition. You see them everywhere. I never knew.
The man was in King Dinosaur, for God's sakes.
For God's sake.
Attention must be paid.
For God's sake.
For those who are interested, we caught this movie on YouTube. You have like maybe we'll try to put a link to that somewhere. And it, like you said, I think Bill, you said it's a pretty decent cut.
Yeah, I'm always impressed when
it's like from a rerun of something somewhere because you kind of see a half thing of somebody's channel or something. But
it kept showing. I don't know about you guys, but the version I saw, it looked like had kept showing horror films upcoming. Yeah. Like what was the one, Jeff?
The Mutations on
the Mutations Saturday at 9 p.m.
What's the one with?
That's a fine channel. Then
I don't know if I saw that.
With Mia Farrow, the something of Julia.
The Haunting of Julia.
Haunting of Julia. That was one of them.
Sunday at 2 p.m. You know, that kind of thing. Those kept popping up. I thought that was kind of cool.
Check it out when you can, and let us know what you think of it and what you think of our review. We love feedback. And speaking of feedback, Jeff, do we have
feedback?
Oh, what a mess of feedback.
Oh, long feedbacks.
Yeah, let's don't do all this. All this.
Come on. All right.
We got another one to do. Okay, let's get started.
Yeah, it's only 20. We got anyway. So episode 207, Berliner Zero, says Alfred Marks was a comedian. So
see, that was quick.
That was
What
brief.
happened to it? Oh, here he is.
Huh?
That's
Oh.
Alfred Marks.
And he was a comedian.
Oh.
He was in. He had experience as a comedian. He was in Scream and Scream Again.
Well, he's got one eye significantly bigger than the other.
I was
so
going to
that's kinda
say the
funny.
same thing. That one eye is literally bulging out of his.
It's good for laughs.
And then episode 223, Craze from Mikey Z. Who wants to go first? Just start going.
All right, I'll do it. I'll talk fast here. Mikey Z 8229 says, listen to the podcast, and again, you guys did not disappoint. I've already commented on the movie, so this feedback on your podcast will require a time machine for the continuum to be put in order. I must be crazed. After listening to Thunderhead Jones' praise of Chad in his feedback to this film, that dude needs to have an axe to let it fly in his direction. Wow. I agree with Jeff and Bill in that the film goes off on tangents with heist-like setups and police procedurals, but who doesn't go off on tangents every once in a while? Hey, Grue Crew. I feel
I get you there, Mikey.
Yeah.
I get you.
I hate
Chad.
Thunderhead Jones.
Chad, 2 friggin' taglines for a film that should have generated more.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect.
You're lucky the low budget didn't have enough money for more. Lucky you guys didn't double tap Mumsy, etc.
Double tap Mumsy.
And speaking of taglines, we didn't do taglines.
We did not do taglines tonight. It was just
my plans coming together.
I picture Chad picking TV movies from now on.
Yeah. We really didn't have taglines back then. You had no choice. There were only 3 channels. Regarding Legend of the Werewolf mentioned, I love that film. A sort of low-grade Curse of the Werewolf, but Hugh Griffith and the Cush in a werewolf film. Yeah.
Yep.
Regarding producer Herman Cohen, there's an interesting documentary on him out there. Oh, I'd like to see that. Great podcast, guys. Sign me up for those porn film named T-shirts. I take a large, by the way. Not bragging, just saying. Porn film T-shirts. I've already forgotten what he's talking
Watch the next classic era. That's all I'm saying. All right, episode 200. Thank you, Mikey. Episode 230, Dark Places, also from Mikey. Chad.
Yeah, Mikey's trying to compete with Jerry here.
I guess.
Mikey says, I have never seen nor heard this film, but I can see its influence on Kubrick's The Shining. I caught it on YouTube, and as I was watching it, I was reminded of the reincarnation of Peter Proud, another film made around the same time. Possible fare for DOH to do.
Yep.
Bill called it right. Shadow of the Cat without the cat, with slightly more intelligent characters inhabiting it. A very good cast within. Christopher Lee, Herbert Lom, Jean Marsh are very good in their roles, especially Marsh as the wife trying to deny her husband's actions until she reaches her breaking point. Her breakdown moment recalls to me her Mad Mrs. Rochester in the 1970 version of Jane Eyre. How do you say that? I can't remember. Jane Eyre. She does mad well. Robert Hardy's okay in the lead dual roles, but for me, no great shakes until the moment when his characters commit murder and his secrets are revealed. Joan Collins perpetuates her vixen role as the conniving, greedy sister of Lee, who has motives that led to a troubled end. I know, we were there. We heard the whole thing. A slow, interesting psychological thriller about the search for a fortune that switches between the present and past events in the life of a philandering patriarch and a haunted man who inherits an estate that has a secret dark past. Some of the time transitions are done very well. I especially like the one that occurs in the bedroom. Someone tell me what the slow-mo walk with Lee and Lom was about, other than possible padding of the film. And how many times do we have to watch a man banging on the walls looking for some secret panel or opening? Also, the 70s and creepy kids. Why was this decade so pervasive with this trope? Overall, I like this film. Don Sharp's direction is just that, sharp. A nice mystery that unfolds a lot like The Other, another film that DOH should do. A great kick in the shins about the found fortune. Like the Grue Crew stated, one of those films that is a very pleasant find. By the way, guys, Chad is right.
What?
What?
That's all it says after that.
No, keep reading.
Oh. It takes a while to kill by strangulation. I told you. You must exert great deal of pressure on the person's throatal area, or so I've heard.
Is this a confession?
Probably. No one,
Sounds like
Mikey.
the voice of experience. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Yikes.
Great podcast to a really good, not well-known film. Keep rocking the 70s, guys. Trivia. Jane Birkin was once married to the great film composer John Barry of the earlier James Bond films, the man with the golden gun being one of them.
The man without the golden gun.
The man without the gun.
No, without the
Not a
golden
great villain at all.
And the theme
That would
to
make a
Midnight
good sequel.
Cowboy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right. And
The
one
man
from Robert
without the
Baker.
golden gun.
Okay, guys. Robert Baker. Doc?
All right. I was like everyone else. When I saw you were covering this movie, I had never heard of it. Very surprising considering the cast. I do agree it was very slow in places, but overall, I think the third act made it worth seeing. I also enjoy rewatching. I also agree rewatching would be enjoyable.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
Yes.
All right. Episode 231, A Ghost Story for Christmas. And I'll read Scott Wells here.
All right.
I've watched what? I've watched these because I'm a big M.R. James fan. One thing he excels at is atmosphere. These adaptations are hit or miss as far as the atmosphere goes. I may be alone in liking Oh Whistle and I'll Come to You, but I'll stand by the atmosphere of it, as well as the final payoff of the ghost. I don't believe the protagonist is meant to be very likable. He's a very mundane, boring, plodding sort who thinks he is exceptional, and it's somewhat satisfying to me to see the rug pulled out from under him as far as reality goes. Lost Hearts is particularly effective in the use of its ghosts, which look exceptionally creepy and weird. I appreciated the nods towards alchemy in the narrative and the dark sort of humor present as he reads the instructions about mixing the ashes of the hearts with a strong red wine, preferably port. The Signalman is solid, though I must confess I've never enjoyed the story. Denholm Elliott is, of course, fantastic.
Yes.
Of the more recent ones, I like the Mark Gatiss produced ones. The Mezzotint and the Tractate Midoth were two favorite stories of mine that he did justice to, in my opinion. I have unfortunately not seen his production of my favorite James story, Count Magnus. It's on my list. I also wondered about why Ghost Story is so integral to Britain at Christmas time. Why the Ghost Story? I asked some friends from the UK about it several years ago, but they didn't really have an answer other than it's simply a dead time of the year and it puts them in the mood for the macabre. By the way, the Stone Tape was not a part of this series, but it was shown around the Christmas season as well. That answers that question.
Mm-hmm.
Bill is right in saying, Bill is right.
Bill is right. Bill is right.
Oh, there's more. There's more.
In saying that ghost story aficionados are a slightly different sort than ordinary horror fans. Ghosts cannot really hurt you, and so their menace becomes something more existential. They are a threat to the reality that is perceived by the witness of the ghost, and they often bear witness to very human evils. Like H.P. Lovecraft once wrote, the oldest and strongest emotion known to mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is that of the unknown. All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Scotty.
Good analysis. And then we have, where am I? Oh, Eleanor C. From the Czech Republic, I think. Who's up next?
I think
Back around to Bill.
Okay, Eleanor C says, hi guys, Happy New Year. I'm very happy you chose to do the episodes from this series. I was a bit surprised some of you claim to not know of M.R. James since I recently listened to your review of Night of the Demon, which was based on his story Casting the Runes. That's a great story and movie.
Yep.
Your pick of Whistle and I'll Come to You actually made me watch this version for the first time. I avoided it because I watched the version from 2010 with John Hurt some years back and I didn't like it. So I wasn't in a hurry to watch the old one. After your pick, I watched them both and also reread the story. The 2010 version has very little in common with the original story, but I didn't like it as much as before. The 1968 one is very close to the original story, so it gets a small plus point for me, but it cut the background information about the character and the locations. Funnily enough, in the book, the whistle is found in the ruins of a Templar building, so later, when the figure blindly searches for the professor and finds him when he makes a sound, my mind just kept coming back to the Blind Dead series.
Ooh.
Yes.
Neat. Lost Hearts is my favorite adaptation, one of my favorite M.R. James stories. Going by the comments on IMDb, it apparently traumatizes TV viewers every time it gets adapted. There was
Nice.
an older version in 1966, filmed as an episode of the TV series Mystery and Imagination. The episode is unfortunately lost, but someone made an audio recording, which is available on YouTube. It is still very creepy. I like the Signalman more and more with every rewatch. Denham Elliott is great. Fun review, but please don't make the timeout a regular thing, or Chad will try to use it every time he has to read taglines.
You know, Eleanor, I didn't ever think of that before now, but thanks for the idea.
Yeah, now Chad knows what to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I ran across that. I ran across that version with John Hurt. Just scrolling through. It was Tubi or Shudder, one I can't remember, but.
Well, Mark Gatiss did a bunch after you get in the aughts, 2000s, they started it up again.
And people either love him or hate him.
Yeah. Gregory Crosby, Doc.
Oh, okay, sure. I watched all 3 of these on Xmas Eve in the true Victorian spirit, and I enjoyed all 3. I knew that super slow burn on Oh Whistle would annoy the crew. I enjoyed it, but at 42 minutes, it's about 12 minutes too long. Where I am a sort of person who recuts things and posts them on the internet, I suspect I could edit this down to a tight 30 minutes. Hey, good. And lose none of the steady dread or deadening mundanity. Yeah. That's integral to the movie. I really do love that shot when the professor looks back and sees a distant figure on the beach. Subtle and eerie.
Look at Gregory with those 4-syllable words.
Yeah, tripping Doc up. And the other 2 episodes are truly great. Even if I can't figure out why the ghost of the 2 murdered children have come back with Nosferatu-linked nails, the poetic license of horror, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. Our viewers are very literate, look up words on how to pronounce them.
Yeah. Okay, so just evidencing Bill's comment about how people love or hate the Mark Gatiss thing. Chucky Boy 85 says Mark Gatiss is ruining this series nowadays. He's a hack.
Wow.
I don't think I'd go so far to say he's a hack, but I haven't seen these, so I can't really comment.
Yeah.
There you go.
And finally, one from Jerry Chandler.
Woohoo.
Are we back to Bill? Of course.
Sure.
I'll skip.
Oh, did we skip
Sure.
you?
Yeah, it's
You
Chad.
did.
No, I'm good.
That's
Oh.
Jerry Chandler.
Are we in
Jerry-
Bizarro world? Because Jerry writes 2 paragraphs.
I know.
And,
Jerry
I
is
know.
being
and Mikey
very
Z
straight.
writes 5 pages.
Yeah, switch that birth. Jerry Chandler, our friend Jerry, says, I've been watching these on BritBox and Shudder. Looking forward to listening to this one later. I am shocked that there is a contingent of the Grue Crew who are so unfamiliar with M.R. James, an icon of British ghost story fiction. Fun chat. Hoping you hit a few more of the stories down the road. Now that we've been
Thank you
appropriately
kindly,
chat
Jory.
sized.
And we have one last piece of feedback. So
Yay!
this is all done in like 15 minutes. So
2 hours ago.
I think this is Chad's Chad's
Yeah.
from Emulous 79.
Emulous says, if you didn't do nothing, then you must have done something, by my logic. What a weird thing to say. Kind of cancels itself out. Poor scruffy Chucky was a nice guy in this and didn't deserve what he got. Yeah, remember the double negatives, guys?
He did a lot of double negatives.
Yeah. It seems Carpenter got done over by several executive producers. He never got on with these people, and I can see why when you hear of their douchebag tactics. 9 times out of 10, they seem to be total a-holes.
That'd be
Amulus.
Ant holes.
Ant holes now.
Ant-hole.
Amulus, you're my kind of guy, man. I like this. With that said, this isn't a bad film if you look at it as an unintentional comedy. It's a circus. I've got a dancing Aladdin guy, a midget assistant, a limo driver who looks like a tramp, and a raving queen transvestite who beats up Kojak with his handbag.
Got it all. Yeah.
That's hot stuff right there. Can't touch that.
Oh, the 70s.
So Emulus, this is Bizarro World because Emulus usually does 1 or 2 liners, and this is
And he seems pissed off too for some reason.
He does. He has a lot that triggers.
Well, that's it for the feedback. Thanks, Emulus, Jerry, Gregory, Chucky Boy, Mikey Z, Eleanor, especially appreciated Eleanor, and Scott Wells, Robert Baker.
That's so awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Berliner Zero for pointing out that Alfred Marks had been a comedian.
Yeah,
yay!
That's
send
fantastic.
your feedback. Put comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or you can send them to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or you can leave comments on the Facebook group. We love it.
All right. For our next episode, it's my pick. And I love Hammer films.
Hammer time.
So this is one that I've only seen once, and it's often hard to find.
Yep.
We're talking Scars of Dracula from 1970. This is
I've not seen this one.
This one's a little different than all the rest. We
is.
won't say much about that until the next episode, but it's a little different. There's a different handling of Scars of Dracula.
Well, even those of us who have seen this may not have seen it unedited, because
that might be true.
On TV, it was pretty chopped up.
I'm not sure I've seen it unedited. It's on Plex, Pluto TV, and Voodoo Fandango, so it's out there now. And as soon as I saw it, I said, Jeff, we're doing Scars of Dracula.
I noticed that Plex is now showing itself as a just watch thing, and I watched something on that, and it was a pretty good copy. And if there was commercials, they weren't enough to bother me. So
this one actually get a close up of the Hammer rubber bat. You're gonna love it. It's silly as F all out, but you're gonna love it.
I'm just a little irritated because people keep picking movies that I have Blu-rays of back at home.
Oh,
you've got a Blu-ray of this one?
I do.
Of course he does.
That's all right.
Man, I didn't know that.
But Daphne's picking Spiral Staircase in a couple episodes on Classic here, which I haven't.
Oh, nice.
Jeff, the challenge of picking a movie that you don't have a Bluray.
I know.
It is.
I mean, other than
I asked her if she could pick a different one, and she gave me 3 other ones, and I had all 3 of them, and I just went, we'll just go with Spiral Staircase.
What movie would that be? London After Midnight? I mean, you've got
Oh, wow.
Oh, I don't
The
know.
only copy. You got the only existing copy.
Shh.
Dug it out of the.
Don't tell people.
All right, well there you go.
Check out our Patreon too, because you could get for a couple bucks a week, a month. We are right now doing the entire run of Kolchak the Night Stalker.
That's right,
and that's only on Patreon. So, and you also get all the DOHs a week to 12 days early.
Yep,
or so.
You'll enjoy it. Nice little.
And we've covered every episode of Kolchak. That's 20 episodes just for a couple of
episodes.
Just about to
a month.
Publish the wrap up of that. Yep. Then we got to find the next one. All right. Well, there you go. That's our review of Black Noon from 1971. Jeff, Bill, Chad, thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Interesting choice. And with that, let's say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Johnny Yuma was a rebel. He roamed through the West.
And that's it.
Gruesome Magazine.